Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ben, and in this episode of the Smoking Hot Confessions Barbecue Podcast, we're going to find out what happens after dark at the Meat in the Dilly Barbecue Festival. Hey family, hope you're well wherever you are and you got that thin blue smoke rolling. I'm super excited to tell you about the episode we've got today. It's something really different and really cool. I think you're really going to like it. So a few weeks ago, as you know, I went down to Meat in the Dilly for the inaugural barbecue event there. It was a ripper weekend away. I got to take my son with me. He got to have his first crack at a steak cook-off competition with Kids Q Nation. He had a ball. But I decided to do something a bit different. I packed up all the gear that I've got here in the studio, flew it all down to Sydney with me, and we had what we like to call an after dark conversation. And what that means is I just get a bunch of different pitmasters together. We all just hang out, and wherever the conversation goes is wherever the conversation goes. So that's what we've got lined up for you tonight. We've got Ben Shute from Moonshine Barbecue, Linda Zammit from Pitts Perfect, and Ryan Sheen from Fellowship of the Grill, formerly of Sheen Shangri-La, but I'll let him fill you in on the changes a bit later on. But I reckon that's about all you need from me. So let's get stuck into this After Dark special.
This is the internationally awarded Smoking Hot Confessions Barbecue Podcast with your host, Ben Arnott. How long's it been since your last confession?
Alrighty, folks, here we are. We're at Meat in the Dilly now. We're out in the middle of the woods somewhere. You can see how dark it is here behind us. You can hear the wind in the trees. And I have got with me some very special people this evening. We've got on my left here, we've got Ben Shute from Moonshine Barbecue. First time on the show, so make sure you all give him a nice big warm welcome. And just to my right here, we've got good friend Linda from Pitts Perfect. She's been on the show many times. It's great to have her back on again. And also we've got Ryan Sheen from the Fellowship of the Grill, recently renamed from the Sheen Shangri-La. So you've seen him on the show a couple of times as well. Welcome, everybody. It's great to have you here.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Good to be here.
So, how good is it to finally be at a comp again?
Oh,
So
it's very
good.
refreshing. It's great. Been waiting a while for this.
Yeah. And what a great location too. We're at a Scout. What is this? Like a Scout camp
Park,
or
Scout Park, yeah, in Appin.
Scout Park in Appin. We are literally out in the middle of the bush. I was just saying before, I keep thinking I'm going to walk behind this tree over here and trip over some backpacker bones. But
Still young. Anything could happen.
yeah, we just don't know where the night's going to take us, do we?
That's right.
Yeah, and it's going to be a really big weekend this weekend. So this is what I've dubbed the term a clustered comp. I don't know if that's the right term, but we've got an SCA, we've got an ABA, and we got a Kids Q Nation competition all packed into one weekend, which is huge.
Yeah.
So are you guys doing all three?
Two of the three.
Which are?
SCA and ABA.
SCA and ABA. Cool.
We're just doing one. We had to come back in slowly. We're just doing ABA.
Okay.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here with the new team and a couple of new teammates. Foot in the water just to see how they go, and if they want to come back, then we'll probably get stuck in the SCA next comp.
Yeah, right. Cool. So what sort of draws you to those particular competitions? So you're doing SCA and ABA,
Yep.
just ABA and just ABA.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we'll kind of start over here then. What sort of pulls you to the SCAs?
This is actually my first SCA. So we intended to do it last year for Meat Stock Sydney, but that obviously got called off. So we are we just wanted to give it a shot and see how we went. But it's we'll see how we go, and I'll learn if I'm any good at it.
So it's going to be your first crack.
First crack. Yeah, first crack.
Awesome. Best of luck with that.
Thank you.
What are the ancillaries for this weekend?
Burgers and wings.
Burgers and wings. Okay, pretty good then. So you're doing some buffaloes and what?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, we'll
It's a
see.
secret.
It's a secret.
Well, we're not live
We're not
anymore.
live anymore.
No, we're not spoiling anything.
Well, actually, my son's come up with what we're going to do for wings this weekend. It's kind of a honey soy crunch kind of thing.
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
he was experimenting with that the other day. So if we win that, he'll be pretty happy. He'll take home the money as well. He'll be pretty happy.
I was going to say you'll never hear the end of that.
No, I won't. And then burgers, we're still we've got a few things we haven't decided and landed on one yet. So steak, we might do something completely. Steak.
Very cool. Yeah. And so you guys are still sort of staunchly ABA.
We've done SCA. We won burgers I don't even know if it was SCA, but it's Sydney, one of the first Sydney meat stocks that we went to, and I enjoy it. But this time we just needed to like get right back to basics and remember what we're doing. And this is like our 5th year competing, so ABA is something that we're used to, and like I said, just slowly get used to, and maybe further on do SCA. But for now, we'll just stick with the basics that we know. Even though we don't really remember them.
That's what I'm relying on.
So we're in the same boat again with a new team. I sort of want to just ease them into it. Competing with Dad for the past 4 years, ABA is not comfortable because we always panic at the last minute anyway. But it at least feels like we've done it before. With the team that we've got and with the involuntary break that we had last year. I definitely wanted to try to flex a little bit more in the SCA, but I think next one, definitely SCA, 100%.
Yeah, nice. I really love the creativity that people can sort of get into in the SCAs there.
I think not being limited by how you can cook it is kind of the, flavors are one thing, but also, you can fry it, you can, smoke it, roast it, whatever you want to do. It's kind of, you've got the opportunity to kind of, as you said, stretch your wings a little bit on it.
Now, here's an interesting idea. Have you ever seen anybody do for the burger hand-ins like a Monte Cristo style burger? So they cook the burger, build it, batter it, and deep fry it.
I have not. If I'd have bought a deep fry with me, that might be on the card.
You're SCAing tomorrow, you could do that.
Yeah. It's my favourite food group, fried.
Covers them all.
Yeah, we would have all of that covered then, wouldn't we? Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of jumped a bit ahead there. How long has it been since you've all been to a competition? You're saying
Meat stock
in
Sydney in 2019.
2019, okay. And we said that was May, didn't we?
We did say it was May.
So that's almost 2 years.
Yeah, nearly 2 years.
Wow. How about you guys?
We're not quite as long, and we were the Invitational 2019, so I think it's like November or something, 2019.
Yeah.
Last time for me was actually our last face-to-face conversation at Kangaroo Valley 2019. Wow. It's hard to think back that that far. And it all still feels, whilst it hasn't been so long since we've done this, it does feel like it's second nature, which is weird. And just to see familiar faces again over that long period of
It's
time.
like nothing's changed.
Yeah, nothing's changed, but everything's changed at the same time. It's weird.
Yeah.
So when you are seeing all these people again for the first time, are you responsibly elbowing and no, not even fist bumping anymore, is it?
I'm throwing out a few hugs.
When
Can't help it.
Caution to the wind.
Me too.
No, when I saw Fat Amy roll through the park, I was a bit
There had to be
excited.
hugs,
Yeah. Just for the record, Fat Amy is the name of Linda's pit. We're not being disrespectful to anybody
No, we love Fat Amy. She's the
in
best.
any way at all. Named after one of
It was
your.
like someone in the car with me.
It's actually named after one of your favourite movie characters,
Well,
isn't it?
our team name is Pitch Perfect. At the time we made it, Pitch Perfect was huge, and our daughter loved it, and so we had to have Fat Amy as our barbecue, and we still call her that now.
It's great.
Yeah.
Fair enough, yeah. So with all this time off then between competitions, how are your nerves this weekend?
I'm not too bad. Like I'm not expecting too much of, self. But that sounds wrong. But, obviously we'd like to maybe get a couple of call-ups, but it's just being happy to cook again, to be honest. So, we've spent time practicing and we've got a really good, decent bit of meat, to go, and we should be good. You want to move that closer?
Just a little bit, yeah.
Okay, there we go.
That's all right. I can hear your voice sort of surging a little bit through the audio board. It's all good. Yeah, so how about you guys? How are the
It's
the
not
nerves?
I get anxious about everything, but it's like that muscle memory that was there before, where you know what to pack, you know how to pack it, everything's there. Like when I went through, I've got a barbecue shed, and I had to chuck out so many things because they'd expired, because they hadn't been used in so long. So I had to re-buy stuff and remember how I do things, and it's just getting that back. And then when we were setting up, like, I forgot we had to do that, and I forgot we had to do that because it's just been so long. So not nerves, but as much just fear of forgetting things, I guess, is the best way to
So
explain
your
it.
sauces had become rubs and your rubs had become rocks.
It was disgusting. Yeah, it was a big bin night that night. Like, yeah, everything went. But yeah, It's pretty bad.
Yeah, no, we're in the same boat. Like setting up the site, that's probably the one thing that I said to the new guys. Like, out of all the experience I had with Dad, they being able to know how to set a site up was just a blessing in disguise this afternoon. Because like Linda and Sam helped me put the marquee up, but like just getting the site ready was basically like second nature, which was really, really cool. But yeah, getting those little things. Remembering to bring like something to wash the cutting boards up,
Yeah.
right? Bringing my sharpening steel, finding my brisket knife. Like I have not touched my smoker in at least 3 to 6 months. Like I've used the kettle sparingly, and I've done zero comp practice, let alone cooking a brisket just because.
Yep.
So trying to remember how to do all those things and just consuming as much barbecue media as possible to try to get some tips and insights has been a big sort of not plan, but part of my strategy. Not that I have one, but yeah.
It's the best strategy.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I forgot my marquees as I was pulling out the driveway, so that tells you how long it's been. We had it packed. I was in the car ready to go, and I was going, nah,
Wow.
they're in the garage.
I actually almost left for the airport this morning without my wallet.
Oh,
I actually made it all the way out to the car in the driveway, and I went, something's not
Missing,
here.
yeah.
Something's. What is?
I feel lighter.
Oh, damn it! Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't say that I feel that much lighter because there's not much in that wallet anyway.
I understand.
Yeah. Now,
Especially after a barbecue comp, there's nothing left in the
Oh,
wallet.
yeah, and despite the way things have turned out in the last 12 months with all our meat exports going, like staying here in Australia, you would think that we would have an oversupply and prices would come down, but we seem to have been going the other way and everything's been going
Yeah.
more and more expensive, which is
Yeah.
crazy. Is
Yeah.
that at least, I mean, for me up on the Gold Coast, I'm paying $25 a kilo for brisket now.
Yep.
Yeah, wow.
That's about right. It's expensive. It's getting the beef in particular is actually getting up there. Lamb is ridiculous.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, lamb has been ridiculous. When we were kids, we had lamb chops because they were
Yeah.
cheap.
Yeah.
Now you can't afford $55 a kilo or whatever it is or more.
Yeah, well, depending
don't buy them
depending
anymore.
on where you are, yeah. But no, like I definitely saw a decline. The price dropped when it first happened. Like a lot of the restaurants that couldn't open, they had excess supply, and we were able to pick up some really good bargains. But since things started to stabilize within a sense of the word, and yeah, it definitely has not gotten cheaper. Unfortunately, it's a very expensive hobby.
Yeah, I was just talking about that. I went down to the Hunter Valley for the Easter to catch up with my family, and my dad was saying that lamb shanks used to be what the butcher would throw in for free
Yeah.
Yeah.
when you went and bought something else, and now they're $20 a
Premium
kilo.
cut.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it like with lamb specifically, like there's not that much meat on that animal. Like when I was a butcher, there was like hardly anything left over once you broke it down, trimmed it up, and that's why you do pay the amount you pay. And it's like, is it worth it? And then especially for lamb, at a comp, some teams are doing up to 4 to 5 different cuts for a box. So it's costing you a small fortune to take a loan out to pay for your lamb handy.
But that's barbecue, right? Like all of the cuts used to be cheap cuts.
Yeah.
Brisket, lamb,
Yeah.
like all the things we cook used to be years ago cheap, and now they're all premium cuts.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the
We
whole.
picked an expensive hobby.
We did.
I think we kind of turned it into an expensive
You're
hobby.
right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's kind of a damn shame, really.
It is.
Yeah. Okay, so just looping back to getting back to Barbecue Family, you've got a new team that are mates starting. You've got family and you've got family.
Yep.
What's it like being able to involve your family members? And I've got some new team questions for you coming up shortly. So, what's it like being able to bring your family along to these events?
For me, look, ever since we started, it's been me and Sam, my partner, and it's interesting. We have our very own distinct roles that we play. I cook, she cleans. That's the way it works. So, and now our daughter Chloe, who's 15 now, and she sort of thinks it's pretty cool to hang out and camp, which is good because it's pretty cool for a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
And it's just nice to get everybody involved, and then we're not away from each other for a weekend and sort of work together. So I think it's a good thing. Like when we got into the catering side of stuff, that got a little bit more stressful, but barbecue comps I think are a great thing to get your family involved.
Yeah,
It's really good.
absolutely. Yeah.
For me, it's my team's made up of, well, originally it was me and my brothers-in-law. So we had a 4, then one of them's kind of moved away, and another one has, they've all had kids, and so it gets harder to kind of bring them all together. So these actually getting more of them to the comp is great because it's, we don't get to see each other that much. That said, I've just spent 5 days with my brother-in-law for over Easter, so that's all right. And my son's here as well, so so that's good. But and it's great to have my son come out and do it with us as well. He gets
How old's your
excited.
son?
He's nearly 13.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
he's really excited about it, and he loves to come along. So yeah, it's a good school holiday activity.
It
Yeah.
definitely is.
Now, Moonshine Barbecue is
Yep.
actually a barbecue rub business.
Yes.
Does your son get involved in that as well?
He likes to do some of the marketing stuff and ideas, so he likes to film stuff as well. He really loves doing video stuff, so he's kind of running around with a camera and a tripod at somewhere. Probably not now, but tomorrow he will be, which will be great. And he'll be documenting for us and kind of helping us with some of the socials and stuff like that, which is great. So, yeah. But no, we're certainly, Moonshine's certainly a family business. My wife helps out with it a lot. Yeah, we're really trying to grow it. So it's a big focus for us at the moment.
So are you saying that we're going to see Moonshine explode on TikTok then if we've got a 13-year-old running your socials?
Totally.
Why not? He can explain it to me.
Wait, you're what, 6'4", 6'5"?
Yeah, 6'4".
6'4", man. I want to see some like funny dancing videos of you with
You're a
like
tall
hot
bloke.
coals in one hand and
At a comp.
sure,
After the podcast.
We can do that.
yeah.
We can make that happen.
Yeah. Now, man, you're breaking in some brand new team members.
Yeah, I've got Daniel, my brother-in-law, who was my best friend before that, so that's pretty cool. And we've got a friend that I met through Daniel, Chris, who is coming on board. Now, it's really an interesting dynamic because Daniel's obviously been around barbecue for the entire length of the addiction. And Chris has been sort of thrown into the mix somewhat involuntarily. It was sort of like, hey, you're coming to this comp if you want. He's like, yeah, sure, why not? And he's got a background in the culinary arts. He used to be a chef. So I really find it's a really nice balance between someone who's got a really interesting, complicated palate, like with all those different flavors. Me, who has been in the barbecue scene for many years, and a lot of the different brands, things like that. And then Daniel, who basically can bring that all back down to like sort of a homey route, which is quite nice because sometimes I feel like, especially with Chris and I, we can overcomplicate things. So we definitely all, as Linda says, we all play a role in what's happening. So it definitely is something that I'm really enjoying because when it was Dad and I, it was very 50-50. But now that there's an extra team member, there's different types of team members as well. We're finding a bit of a balance and harmony in the way we're working, which I find relaxing. This is probably the first comp that Linda's seen me not swear or yell yet. So
Not too much anyway.
I will. But yeah, like it's been really nice, and the guys are really interested in like the breakdown and the explanation, the science. Especially Chris, like having that chef background. He's never cooked on a barbecue before. Never had that background where it's like, when I say barbecue, he's cooked on a gasser, but hasn't cooked on an actual barbecue. And like just teaching him how the different types of heat works and like all these breakdowns of accumulated knowledge that I've had over the past 5 years. And it's a really rewarding feeling. And eventually, hopefully be around long enough to sort of pass it on to our kids. So that'd be cool.
So which protein does he get then if this is his first time cooking on a barbecue?
At the moment, I'm gonna do all of them, and they're learning, if that makes sense. Because this comp is a relatively straightforward protein breakdown, and we've elected for a couple of simple cuts, it shouldn't be too difficult. And the handing windows are a blessing in disguise because I don't have to start cooking at like 11 o'clock. So because they're a little bit of a later hand in, we can take the time. And also, this is the first year that I've actually trimmed at home instead of on site. So we're super prepared, and we've been able to sort of talk it through a lot. And then eventually they'll all start to pick their own proteins, and we're going to start sharing it. But yeah, for this one, I didn't want to scare them. It's sort of like, I'll show you how I do this, and we'll go from there. And with the pits we've got, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, nice. What are they?
We've got a kettle, a ProQ XL, and a GMG Daniel Boone. So hot and fast in the kettle for your chicken, and then the rest is all pretty much set and forget.
Yeah, very nice. Very cool. Yeah. So what is it like now? Because I have seen you over the last couple of years. You've always been competing with your father.
Yep.
That's a like a real beautiful thing, and Ben's being able to experience it now with his son as well. What's that like when your father retires?
It was a bit of a bittersweet moment because, like, competitions, as we all know, if you've been to one, I've always said that they're a sport, and people don't agree with me, but if you run a marathon, it's almost a similar
It is.
feeling. I've not run a marathon,
It
just
is.
as a disclaimer, but I'm assuming
I don't think anyone here has ever
But
run a
it's a sport.
marathon.
the fact that
Definitely.
you have to take a
It's
Monday
exactly
off
the same thing.
to recover, and for. Sorry, Dad. Someone of his age, one of the older members of the barbecue. He's not that old, but in the grand scheme of things, he was always known as old boy on the site. It takes its toll, so it's good to see him finally get some rest and just come here for the social aspect, which is what he loves. And it was sort of sad to see him go because he was always that mature sort of. He'd calmed me a lot when I started stressing
calming
myself
voice
out.
of reason.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I generally turn around and tell him to go away because I was angry. But
You did that today too.
yeah, I know. Sorry, Dad. Love you. But it was good to have that sort of voice, and then also we were challenging each other a lot as well. Where if I thought something was great, he would push me to go that little bit further, which is really good. And same like backwards and forwards. It was butting heads, but in a good way,
Right.
yeah,
That's
right.
what we do too.
Yeah.
lovingly, tough love.
Lovingly, that's right.
Yeah.
Got a project you'd like to work on with the SHC team? Shoot Ben an email on ben@smokinghotconfessions.com and let's have a conversation.
Now, is Chloe doing the boxes this weekend?
I think she is. Have to pay her. $5 a box, I believe, but it'll be pretty good. It'll be a very good box.
I was pretty sure that I saw something on the socials
I
that,
know,
that,
$10.
that said it was 10.
I know.
Yeah, 10.
I told her she either gets $5 box or $0 box. So.
Is that open to everyone?
No, that's just family rates.
Oh, okay. What about neighbours?
for everybody else, it's
It's $10 a box.
It's $10 a box.
Well,
fair
Cleo set those prices, so we've got to go with it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. So, do you reckon that we'll see your kids in there doing boxes as well, or is
Oh,
you
absolutely. Yeah. Locke
just
will be
going to
doing-
stick to the socials?
No, Locke will be doing the parsley.
Okay.
Yeah, he did. We actually he did them for our last comp as well. He came along, so but he knows what he's doing with it, which is good.
I think the kids have got a lot more nimble fingers than we do.
They do.
Yeah.
And they've got more patience.
And they also drink far less alcohol than we do, so
Yeah.
they've actually got the patience
got
to be able to put
I
all
would
those in.
hope.
And if you tell them there's money in it for them, then
That's
that's
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm actually glad that my son's over by the bonfire and he's not hearing because he'd be, Daddy, I want to start a business.
Is it a controversial idea that I actually like doing parsley boxes?
Oh,
we do.
okay.
It's nostalgic for me. Like again, I haven't been in a butcher shop in a few years, but like the whole parsley and it's a bit relaxing actually.
Oh, right. Yeah, because you would have done all your presentation with parsley in the butcher shop.
And also like Dad hated doing it, so I had to do it. So I guess it sort of all worked out. But yeah, no, I never really got the the chicken scraping I get.
Oh.
But see? But the parsley I never really understood. But yeah, I'll
worse things.
let
There's worse
the
things.
guys do it and see what they reckon.
Right. Now, is that your son over on the stage there behind us?
yes, it is.
That is right. Okay, so we've just been discussing the idea of like a $15
Whoa.
social video.
I thought it was a $15 parsley
business
box.
that,
I was gonna
that
say.
your father was going to set up there. No, I'm not trying to start a bidding war between your two children. I'm not trying to. I'm encouraging entrepreneurialism
I like it.
in
No,
all the
it's good.
children.
He's on board with anything that gets him more money.
Yeah. Alrighty. So we have had a long break between drinks, between competitions. What non-barbecue stuff have you all been doing during your downtime? So for me, I've been playing with my technology stuff. We've now got all the cameras and the laptops and the this and the that and everything else.
Looks good.
What have you guys been doing?
It's not really non-barbecue, but I've been working on Moonshine Barbecue, obviously, and kind of developing some new rubs, a couple of sauces and things like that, which we've been kind of playing around with, which is exciting. And then other than that, just doing actual work to pay the bills. But it's been I've started working for myself, which is great. So yeah, it's been a busy time. There's been certainly very little downtime.
Yeah, right. And so are you working for yourself inside Moonshine or are you?
I work for so I do consulting work.
Okay.
As a kind of as my full time Moonshine's kind of the other hustle, which I'm trying to kind of rebalance and make it more moonshine.
Yeah. So are you able to give us a bit of an idea of what those new products are, or do we need to wait for them to be released?
I'm happy to. So there's we've been trying to get a fish rub up for a while, with a seafood rub. It's been
Something new?
Yeah.
it's been one that it's been a lot of trial and error and trying to get it right. And so it's sometimes too salty, sometimes not enough salt. And so it's trying to found balance in that and just other flavors to go with fish, because the difference between white fish and kind of red fish is obviously then makes a difference as well. So it might be 2 rubs, who knows. And then the sauces, there's kind of the, your usual kind of suspects in terms of sauces, but we've just been toying around with them, and so hopefully they'll be ready to go soon as well.
So, do you find that there's much of a difference between, like you mentioned, white fish and red fish?
Yep.
What about like freshwater and saltwater fish?
There is, there's obviously the kind of it's the difference in those as well. So it's kind of it's hard to find an all-purpose seafood. We actually released one for fish 3 years ago, and it didn't fly.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was kind of back to the drawing board. It worked really well on whitefish and nothing else, which was kind of limiting. So it's that kind of trial and error. So it's cooking a lot of fish, which is very non-barbecue.
Hey, look, that's
Delicious, though.
But delicious, absolutely.
If there's a group of people though that do need to eat some more fish,
Yep.
it would be us barbecuers. Yeah,
And I reckon it'll be on Monday that we need to.
Yeah. I dare say so. Yeah. So, how about you guys? What have you been up to?
We were just talking about this before. We've at home we've got our own like 2020 recipe book that has all the stuff we've done, like just getting in the kitchen and doing things like from scratch. I've become a mad sourdough baker. So I have like sourdough starter, which started at about this much, and I have a jar this big in the fridge now. And that gets fed every Friday, and we have a name for it, and it's all very serious, but it makes some delicious sourdough. But just like cooking, getting back to cooking homemade from scratch, not, preservative free, really good, real food. And that's what we've really gotten into in the last 12 months, I think. And it's been fun.
What exactly did you name the sourdough starter?
Do you remember the name? I've forgotten the name. We had 3 names for our sourdough starter. I can't remember them.
Okay.
Any of them. But that one had like 2 babies, and then there was more, and we like give them to friends and stuff. But when I remember it,
all
I'll
right.
let you know. I can't
Exclusive
remember.
interview.
It was like Barry or something ridiculous. Like,
It's got to be Barry.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or
It's gotta be
Eugene
Barry.
or something. I don't know.
Eugene. There you go. All right.
Yeah. Again, very, very similar. I haven't really cooked on a barbie in a while, so I've done a lot of cooking in the kitchen, obviously. But using a lot of, because I've been getting into a lot of like podcasts and lectures and stuff, and I was thinking, why not expand that into cooking? Like, I've never really researched or learnt cooking, and Chris, I was talking to him, and I was asking whether or not going to culinary school or something like that would be good to like broaden my horizons. And he said, dude, unless you want to make your own flavors, just watch YouTube. I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, watched a lot of chefs until I found 2 that I like, and I've decided that fried chicken is my favorite food of all time.
Okay.
Oh my God, yes.
Because it's so
Doing that as
versatile.
well.
It's so versatile.
Yeah.
Actually, Drew from Wild West started that,
He did.
and then with his deep fried chicken, southern fried chicken, and adventures that he would go on, and then cooking the very different styles of fried chicken. Obviously, was great. But yeah, getting into baking, everything from scratch. One of the an Australian guy, and that's what I reckon is a comedian.
Yes, he's so good.
Yeah.
It's very good.
He is what sparked the whole cooking from scratch thing, because like one thing, and it falls into barbecue so well, especially with the way I cook. He was talking about cooking spaghetti bolognese, and how that it is a testament of restraint, and that your meal should not collapse under the weight of your own creativity.
Okay.
And I was doing that. I would over season, over flavor, over sauce, overcook, and it would just be bleh. And being able to hold back and pull back and just get those basic core methods, ingredients, styles, and then going from there was fantastic. And I don't actually really care about eating it anymore. It's just the making it and sitting there watching people go, oh, wow. That's the point, like especially with barbecue, because you're not going to cook a brisket for 13, 12, whatever many hours you got, and then go, oh, it was okay. You're watching them and watching those little micro expressions for like, oh, amazing. So that's it for me, like especially because I do show a lot of love to my family through food, because I do spend on like a Saturday or Sunday on average about 6 hours in the kitchen
All
with
day. Yeah.
baking,
Wow.
making sauce
Same.
bases. Like we make even Lucy now, my wife, she makes like a spaghetti meat sauce from scratch now, if it's a mince or a ragu base. So it's spreading the love of cooking from scratch. It's pretty
Right.
cool.
Seymour. Sorry, Seymour.
Oh, Seymour. Oh, as in feed me, Simon.
And then
Yeah,
the
right.
offshoots were the woman. I can't remember her name either, but yeah, it was all that. I'm so glad you
Competition
understood that
made.
reference.
Fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah. So one of the things that we did was because my son was home from school for like a term, we started a veggie garden.
Oh, yeah,
And
cool.
so one of my grandfathers was a builder, the other grandfather was a farmer, and my own father was a woodwork teacher.
Wow.
And so I'm an English language teacher, and I have very few skills, but I do have some building skills. And so we built these wooden vegetable gardens, and then every day I went to Bunnings and I bought one of the last mini greenhouses that I could get,
Yep.
the little sort of about the size of a shoebox type plastic thing, and we planted all these vegetables and herbs and things from seeds. And I made my son go out and take a photograph of it every day, and then
that'd be
then
awesome.
do a little write up and put it in a science journal, and
Yep.
then send it off to his teacher.
Fantastic.
And so what we've now been working through is we've been using some of the vegetables that we've grown and a lot of the fresh herbs and that. And it just made me think of that when Ryan, when you were mentioning your spaghetti bolognese, because my dad came up to visit over Christmas. He was able to sort of sneak through when the borders were open just for a little while. And he came through for Christmas, and he cooks the most amazing lasagna. And he went out to the garden and he picked some fresh oregano and thyme.
Yep.
And it was just amazing. Like, it just moving from the dried bottled stuff
Yeah.
to the fresh stuff from the garden.
Yeah.
And we just get a huge kick out of it. And my kid now eats vegetables because they come from our garden.
That's it.
That's
That's
awesome.
great.
If he's grown them, he'll eat them.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Couldn't get pumpkin into him before. And
Yeah.
As long as it's in the garden,
That's
he'll eat it.
awesome. That's how
That's
I got my
really
nephew
cool.
eating meat. He was like against eating anything that he had to chew. So I was like, so I said to him,
Some food.
well, like,
too much effort.
so I said to him, I said to him, hey, would you like to try to, like, you know how to do comps? He goes, yeah. I'm like, there's a kid's one. Would you like to try it? He goes, oh, I don't know. So I got a couple of scotchies and the grill grates and the kettle and got him and his sister out there cooking on there, and he ate the whole steak. So it's a testament to see if you're involved in something and you put your effort into it, it's
Yeah.
more rewarding.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
yeah, very much so. Yeah, we've done something similar, and my boy's actually going to be competing in the Kids Q
Oh.
cook-off tomorrow.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So good.
So, yeah, tomorrow. All right.
No pressure.
We're just getting heckled from off camera by a 9-year-old. Don't be a bully. Okay. I got to be careful because he
You're
knows
gonna be in
jujitsu too. He's gonna choke me out here in a second. Yeah. So all those sort of different things have been been happening during the barbecue downtime, I guess. So we've got rubs, sourdough, podcasts, and cooking shows. How many of you took up a new hobby? Like
I took up a
did you-
hobby of saving money. That was my
saving
hobby.
money. Okay.
Without barbecue comps, it was the most money I've saved in a long time.
Oh, see,
So-
we went the other way.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we
That's
because
because you were buying all this digital stuff, right?
partly, but the other part is that I watched too much shows like The Walking Dead
Oh.
and Doomsday Preppers and all that sort of stuff.
Have you built a
Wow.
bunker?
And no, but only because I can't.
Not yet.
If I could, I would have. But no, we now have a hunting slingshot with 1,000 rounds in the cupboard.
As you do. Yeah. Cool.
We've got water purification tablets.
You're
And,
set for the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
that it might be.
But one of the things we did was we went, okay, we're going to need, I think it was 8 bottles of vodka because that'll last us for like antiseptic on wounds
That'd
and all that
last
sort
me
of
about
stuff.
a week.
It's funny you should say that.
That's not true.
Because that's all it
'Cause-
lasted.
3 days.
I went to Dan's and I bought $500 worth of booze at Dan's, and 5 days later I was back again buying another $500 worth of booze
There you go.
because we
Dan's
just
is
kind of
loving
went,
you.
well, if this is the end of the world,
You may as well go happy.
yeah.
That's my motto.
And then it turned out it wasn't.
No. We were told that everything was closing, bottle shops are closing, so we went out and bought like a case of vodka, and then like the next day, they're not closing. Oh, now we've got a case of vodka.
Yeah.
I always found the daily limits on how much you could buy from Dan's was amazing. It's just like, yeah, you can buy 3 cases of beer or 18 bottles of wine a day. Okay.
Like, what are other people buying if that's a limit?
They're filling bunkers,
That's true. I want to go stay at one of
burying
those
them in the
bunkers.
backyard.
Yeah. Interesting.
I bought a PC, which has been a lifelong ambition / goal of mine, because when Lucy was working at the time, she had to work from home, so that was a massive adjustment.
Oh, right.
Having to work from home, and I was like, hey, gaming PC is something that you need to do customer service on, so tax write-off.
Really
nice.
nice.
Not all of it.
Yeah.
The accountant looked at me and went, not all of it. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. We'll claim some of it. But but it has, she used it every day for work. So ATO, leave me alone. But that was, I've got it now. I don't use it often because I have a 2-year-old. And yeah, that's a thing. But yeah, again, just cooking. I bought a lot of, spent money on kitchen appliances. I now am trying to convince Lucy to let me buy a KitchenAid. A stand mixer, and all of the attachments. I think when I put it in my card, it came to about $1,300.
Ooh,
So I had to scale back on some of the attachments.
Yeah.
But I want that meat grinder.
Pasta maker attachments.
I want the pasta roller because you can use it to make wonton wrappers. Dumplings are amazing. And then the meat grinder and sausage filler because brisket trimming.
Yeah, right.
It's an investment. Apparently.
Yep.
Of course, yeah. No, that does raise a good point. Now, if you were consulting and doing moonshine rubs, then working from home wouldn't have been too much of a drama for you.
No, I was all good. It was the homeschooling part that threw it all.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was homeschool. I have 3 kids, and so I was doing homeschool. And when it was homeschool time, I was doing. My eldest was in year 6, and my youngest was in kindergarten, and my other one was in year 3, or 2 or 3. So I had the spread, and so I go from kind of teaching how to write the letter A to trigonometry or whatever it was that we were learning, or angles.
wow.
I'm just like, oh god, and then trying to do my work in between that. So it was
Ew.
but we got into a rhythm. It was good.
and probably all of it happening at the same time. You got,
Absolutely, yeah.
hey, Dad, what comes after A? And
Yeah.
then you've got, hey, Dad, what's the square root of X minus Y to the 15th power?
Yeah, which I didn't know, and I was just like, go and ask him.
Google.
Yeah, Google. Although my youngest fell into this nasty habit of waking up at like 11. She could sleep until there. So the good part was that the other 2 would get up, do all their work, and then they'd be done. Then I just have one of them. So we kind of got into a pattern, which was good. But no, that was during the downtime was kind of a lot of that. I actually didn't take up new hobbies, but kind of rediscovered some old ones that I had.
Okay.
I'd been kind of that I hadn't done for a long time. I played more guitar, I played more golf. I did all those sort of things that I don't get a chance to do normally. Which was good. We planted a veggie garden as well. We've got so much basil, it's ridiculous. It grows like a weed.
We have
Same,
trouble
yeah.
growing basil.
Oh, really?
Basil and coriander never work for us.
We
My
cut it and
basil's
it's back
almost
the
as
next
tall as
day.
I am.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's supposed to be I think it's supposed to be out of season now, but we cut it and it
Keeps
kind of
going.
keeps
Same,
growing. So
same. Yeah.
So we tried, we're trying a few other things as we go. We've got chilies and tomatoes, and we've got a whole lot of garlic is another thing we're trying to do now, which is apparently hard. We'll find out.
Yeah. We actually had a huge landscaping job done just before all the craziness started, and now my pumpkins have grown out through all
ours have gone crazy.
out through all the expensive landscaping,
Yeah.
which has made me not very popular sometimes at home.
My neighbour has she's got a fabulous veggie garden, which is backs onto our pool at the back, and so but her pumpkin vine grows over the fence, and so I'll come out and just I found out this pumpkin is massive.
Thank
It's
you.
just over the pool fence the other day. I told my daughters to take it back and just kind of say, just see if she wants it back. And she went, no, you keep it. I was like, okay, great. So we had great roast pumpkin that night and pumpkin soup, and just the gift that keeps giving.
I had some pumpkin that was starting to get a bit old, and so I chopped the outside of it off, smoked it for about 20 or 30 minutes,
Yeah.
and then finished it just roasting it, and then turned into a pumpkin pie.
Lovely.
Ooh.
Very nice.
Smoked pumpkin pie.
I do like
Stop.
pumpkin pie.
That sounds good.
Yum.
Yeah, just enough to fill up the PK. So and then I sat there, and my wife and son went to bed, and I ate a whole pie.
Fabulous.
You don't want to share that.
No,
It's only one piece
they
if you
wouldn't
don't
have
cut
liked
it.
it. They wouldn't have liked it anyway.
If you don't cut it, it's one piece.
Exactly. Yeah. I got in so much trouble for that. He's still upset about that.
You'll have to make another one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You're listening to the internationally awarded Smoking Hot Confessions podcast with massive barbecue nerd Ben Arnott.
How about you guys? Were you working from home and finding that different?
I loved it because
Me too.
I have to go from we're in Winmalee in the Blue Mountains into Parramatta, and I hate catching the
Oh,
train, so
God.
I drive. So that's up the M4 every day, and I'm not that sort of person that needs to go and be around heaps of people. So working from home, loved it. But the organisation I work for, wasn't really keen on people working from home. So we worked from home for about a month, and then we were all back in the office.
Wow.
So
Oh, right.
it didn't last very long, unfortunately, but it was good while it lasted. So, and just to be at home and like I could, or when school was on, drive Chloe to school, or just the dogs were like, "Oh my god, what are you all doing home?" They'd sit there in front of me, like on the desk, and go, "Why are you here?" But
We've got things to do. Why are you here?
You're not supposed to be here. This is my house. But no, it was. I really, really enjoyed it. If I had to work from home every day, I would. But they won't let me, so I have to go to work.
Yeah. Well, during last year, I was working for a barbecue retailer, and it was scary when it first started because we come off the back of the bushfires.
Yeah,
So
right.
we had a really interesting experience over that sort of the start of the year, and then when it trickled through, and that was the main issue. Online sales just ridiculous. The amount of online sales. I went from working in a retail store to basically working with the warehouse and just doing online orders, and it was amazing, and it was crazy busy. And essential workers being in that sort of, because we didn't think of it at the time, but everyone was cooking from home. I was cooking from home, so it makes sense everyone else is cooking from home, and people that always wanted that smoke. I thought, you know what, if we do go into a full-fledged stay at home forever, I'm going to buy that barbecue that I want to buy. I did that again with the gaming PC. I'm like, if I can't leave the house, I'm going to have something to do.
Yeah.
So that was really, really cool. I enjoyed the fact that I didn't have to work from home, because recently I've had to, because normally what the company I work for at the moment, we do generally an annual big conference, 3-day event. And we did that working from home, and I hated every second of it because it was just like we were doing virtual meetings, virtual conferences, and I was on my gaming PC, and I was like, I don't want to use it for this.
Yeah.
And also this chair is uncomfortable, and we're on a webcam, so I had to wear clothes. It was just annoying. But again, I more power to Malusi. She had to do that for 8 hours a day for like 3 months. And like, again, anyone who had to work from home, like it sounded great for me. And then I did it for 3 days and wanted to like just crash the car into a wall. So everyone's different. Again, I thrive on talking to people and bouncing off other people. So being able to work during that period was really good for me.
And so I guess in that you would have seen like a huge uptick in sales and things as well then?
Yeah, actually, we did see some increase in sales. It was good, and it was good too because I could spend a little bit more time focused on it as well, and kind of and spend the time to kind of do what needs to be done to drive those sales up, and actually get out of the business long enough to think about the business rather than working in it. If that makes sense.
Work on the business instead of in the business.
Yeah, which was good. But no, definitely there was an increase in that, and I discovered a whole lot of people who live not far away actually who kind of are who are cooking the same stuff, and so it was good to kind of connect with a really local community as well. You don't usually meet during that time. Not that we could go around and have a barbecue, but it was good to meet them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I quite fell in love with working from home as well. I got I had 6 months working from home full time, and then 3 months at 50%, and now we're back
Nothing's changed. We're back at the start.
And it's exactly
the roads
the
are
same
busy
like it
again,
was.
and nothing's changed. We've learnt nothing.
Yep. Nobody learnt any lessons.
No, it's so true. But anyway.
Alrighty, so since all that we've just been talking about all the craziness that's happened in the last 12 months or a bit more than 12 months, we've seen a whole lot of evolution happen in terms of barbecue competitions and all that sort of stuff. So we've seen virtual comps, online comps. So I want to start with that and then sort of start to talk about all the different sort of steps of evolution that we've seen. So how many of you participated in online comps, and did you like it, or do you have an opinion on online comps?
I didn't participate, but I did. I think it was good that there was people wanting to keep everything going. It could have been very easy just to sit back and just go no comps for the next foreseeable future, but something to keep people going other than arguing with each other on Facebook about something. But I think
there was so much of that.
There was a lot of that. I think that but it was really good to see people trying to find ways to get it going. Virtual comps, there are certain elements missing. I think
taste
is a big one. Taste, everything looks good online, but it's but obviously taste is kind of that big one. So it's but if we all accept that that's the thing that's missing, then that's fine. So I think, as I said, I think it was good that people were trying to find a way to keep us going until we got back to this, which was good.
And I found that with everything that happened in the last 12 or so months, like just like the ingenuity of humans to keep doing things, and nobody wanted to stop. Everybody wanted to keep going. So whether you're watching a concert or a comedian, or we watched a play online, which was just two people sitting in their own houses and doing dialogue amongst each other with this play. And it was amazing. So like, yeah, and then you're missing a lot of things as well, but just to see that humans, they won't lie down. They just kept going. So, and that's why I think the online comp, as much as, the most important thing, which is taste, it was still moving and people were still creating. And I thought it was really cool. Like we didn't do any, but I think it was a great idea. Like humans just don't give up. We just keep going, which I guess is why we're still around all these years. But I just found it really interesting.
Yeah, the adaptability was outstanding. Like I didn't really have much to do with it, but I respected the people that wanted to keep it going, because it's a people-based and people-led event. Like without the amazing like promoters, supporters, sponsors, and anyone that has even yourself, like with the media like aspect as well, if we're not willing to put our heart and soul into it, it's going to be dead in the water.
Yeah.
So it's not like people are rocking up waiting for a comp. We got to put it on. The show's not waiting for us.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that being able to adapt and drive and change is great. Like what it did for myself and the team that I'm in now is we reached out to people that we normally wouldn't talk to. So I was fortunate enough to go down to Melbourne, but we didn't get to do anything in Melbourne for Meat Stock, whatever year that was. But I met some really, really amazing barbecue family from out of state. So like Daniel Barrington from Smoke Beyond Smoke up in Queensland, Dane and Jesse from SA. So I was talking to them and watching them cook and the things that they were doing, and I didn't feel uncomfortable to ask them, hey, what's this? What do you think about this? Or, hey, how did you do that? Where before on the computer, it sort of was like, oh, I don't know what they're doing. I'm just going to sit back here and be a bit quiet, a bit more passive. But being able to sort of watch what they're doing, and again, we're all human and we want to help each other. Obviously, we've got some secrets here and there, but at the end of the day, we're all happy to help each other out. And that really made me see that there's a silver lining to all this. And I'm really looking forward to when we can do like a big, massive multi-interstate comp and like a big, like not almost Port Macquarie-esque 100+ teams sort of thing. I'm looking forward when that can happen again.
I think.
Yeah, we probably could have one.
Close.
We could probably have one here, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like what you've all been saying about the ingenuity. I didn't actually compete in any of these virtual ones, but I was sort of judging and sort of helping with a lot of the online sort of stuff with that. And there were two that, actually there were three that really stood out. There was Scott Coleman and Luke Nagel did one down in Victoria. There was one over in WA, Jules and Stefan put on. And then there was the one up in Townsville as well. So I was part of those three. And it was really interesting for me because each one of them came up with a really unique way of doing it.
Yeah.
So, for example, Stefan's was fascinating because people were competing at home. You could compete from anywhere, but you had to basically recruit your neighbours to be your judges.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Because
neighbours are the best judges.
They are.
They're so good.
Yeah, and so the neighbours all had to get online for a Zoom judging course.
It's so much fun.
And then you had to do a knock and run, so it was like a contactless delivery.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It
was
almost
really
Channel 7.
yeah.
Channel 7, pick it up.
It probably will be. Yeah.
Pick it up. It's a good show. Should all go do that.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the Townsville guys, they had 2 or 3 judges together in a house in Townsville, and so the people had to drop their hand in boxes to the house, like a contact delivery to the house. So that was really cool too. And then Luke and Scott had another way of doing it again down in Victoria, and it was just fascinating to see all the different ways to tackle a particular problem at the same time. And I can't give too much away, but the blokes up in Townsville have got something cooking up for June, which is going to be really cool too.
Cool.
Excellent.
So
it's much more cool than grilling your friends about like, what'd you think? But what'd you really think? What did you tell me more?
Yeah.
What did it need? What didn't it have? They're like, I just enjoyed your food,
just
dude.
delicious.
Shut up.
Yeah.
That's actually good.
Was
That's
it too
enough.
salty? No, it's just good.
You're like, no half points. Out of 10.
Yep.
I want it broken down by appearance, taste, texture.
Yeah. That's what it felt like.
To the poor buggers,
Like Lucy was just like, please let me eat dinner. I'm like, no, I need feedback.
We had our neighbours over the other night when we were doing pork rib, and I'm no good at pork ribs, and they just kept eating them. I'm like, give me feedback. Too sweet, too this, too that. Like, it's amazing. They're covered in sauce. I'm like, give me something, and they wouldn't. That's all I got. So we'll see if the judges here think the same. Probably not.
Do you cook comp flavors for them though? Or
For
just,
that one was like a
yep.
total practice
Yep.
because I hadn't practiced pork ribs in so long.
Right.
So I've texted them like, I have heaps of pork ribs. Come and try them. They were at our doorstep in like 2 minutes, and then there was no pork ribs left after that, which is a massive compliment and one of the best things about barbecue when people love it.
Yeah.
Tell me something. Give me something that wasn't good and.
They should have known what was expected of them though when they lifted up their plates and the actual placemat
There was a scorecard.
was a scorecard.
Yeah.
Actually, that's what I'll have to do next
And you
time.
served it on a bit of parsley.
Yeah.
They're like, am I
The ribs are going to
am I
like the
supposed
green
to
stuff.
eat that? Like, is that the
Gosh.
salad that goes with it? What is that? Yeah. And so we're moving into, as I said at the very start of this, sort of clustered comp. So this weekend we've got an SCA with an ABA with a Kids Q Nation. How do you like all this sort of trying to pack multiple events into one weekend?
Yeah, look, I don't mind it. I think when you've got multi-day events, I think it's good to kind of build that up. You know, particularly if we were to bump in tomorrow morning, we wouldn't start cooking tomorrow night. That's a long day of doing not a lot. So to have SCA kind of in there as well is great. My son's not doing Kids Q, but you know that having that option there to involve the kids is good because I think that you know there are more kids coming to the comps as well.
Did you tell him there was cash prizes?
No,
Don't tell him, it's too late.
there's
now.
cash prizes. What? He's gone. It's a shame. No, so I think it's good to kind of have multiple comps because but people will just travel for the one. Like I know that the guys from Country Boy, Dan's down here to do SCA on its own. I bumped into him this morning actually while I was picking up my meat back in Sydney.
He was on the plane before I was this morning. That's how keen he was to get in.
Yeah, I said so. You did, you getting your meat too. He goes, no, I'm just doing SCA. I'm just like, that's a long way to come just for one comp, but that's what they're doing. So now, I think it's good to have the variety to pick from.
There's actually a couple of teams that are just here for SCA. I was looking at a printout of the teams list, and even an hour before we started this, so 2 hours ago, I was talking to the boss and he was saying that there's still people registering for tomorrow's SCA. They're up to 27 then, and he had a couple of inquiries still coming through on his phone.
Ooh,
so
that's interesting.
That's huge.
No, I might. At least he'll kill me. That's it. No, like what I was saying, like
this won't go until afterwards. So
Cool.
yeah.
Sorry, honey. No, like again, SCA is probably like one of those comps that is really doable for fly in, fly out.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to lug like a trailer pit.
It's true.
And if you have a couple of mates in those states, like you grab yourself like a butane burner Kmart and you grab yourself a little deep fryer or borrow someone's stuff, especially if you've got family, man. Like, and you can do so much, and it really is that more interactive cooking rather than barbecue until you get a steak, obviously. But like, it is definitely one of those things that I think open up a lot of creativity, and it's why someone would want to jump on a plane, and come down and flex that. So I think it's really cool. I like SCA. SCA is definitely on our radar. Maybe tomorrow. Nah, we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see you up there, like pulling your chip out of the basket.
We'll see.
I'm dubbing you in.
So, all right. So last point before we start to wrap this up. The other one is double-headed events versus double point events. Ooh. So one of the things that we're starting to talk about doing up in Queensland is like an ABA double-header, for example.
Yep.
So you'll do one ABA low and slow comp on the Saturday and another one on the Sunday. Or
that would be
grueling, wouldn't it?
Well, that reminds me of like OG Port Macquarie where we would do like hand-ins over 2 days. Like, there was that one comp. There was that one comp with like, I think the first one we did, it was like 5 hand-ins, and we did 2 one day and 3 the next.
Yeah.
And that was a marathon event. Like, I like the idea of it because cooking barbecue, more of this. We definitely have to invest in better beds.
It's a young person's game. I don't think I have that in me. I'm not that old, but I'm feeling old, and
I think
that's huge.
Maybe instead of double events, maybe more hand-ins essentially, but like not those really long cooks. Maybe like that, it would encourage people to have a team diversity with their cooking a little bit more. But it's an interesting thought. Like I was saying before, I do miss the like the promoters challenges and
Yeah.
the mystery events.
Yeah,
Like as
yeah.
much as some people hate Chef's Choice, you don't have to do it, but it just gives you something different. You know?
Yeah.
Especially if you do practice at home, like we did pulled pork to the point where I could do it in my sleep. So I was like something different. Hooray! Amazing.
I remember the first comp we did, they just came at us and they said, all right, this is before SCA and all that, and we're going to give you all a steak. Do what you want with it. And I think the boys from Scotch and Smoke won it. And they said, we just walked around the streets and grabbed some rosemary out of somebody's front yard. And they had some garlic and that's what they did. And we're like, oh, that's brilliant. Why didn't we think of that? We had nothing. And ever since probably today's the first comp, I haven't brought rosemary and garlic just in case. And I never needed it. And so I'm not bringing it anymore. But
Well, there's
that
nobody's
was a good
houses and
thing.
yards out here for you to
I
go
know, I would
grab
have
something.
had to come
It's a bit of a
prepared.
drive to steal some rosemary.
I live 20
But
minutes
I
away.
like
It's
that.
fine. We'll get some
we'll
rosemary.
get some. But I like that. That as much as you go, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Like just getting your brain working and something outside of the brisket and all the stuff that you're so used to. I like that idea. And I think the SCA is good like that too. Like it does give you that opportunity to be really creative and do some stuff like that. So,
100%.
yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, that's. Sorry. Did you have something you wanted to add there? Double points, double events.
I'd probably take double events over double points
Okay.
as a way of doing it. I just think that, double events is a chance to be a bit more adventurous or kind of cook a whole lot of different stuff rather than cooking the same stuff and getting scored on it twice.
And talk about an endurance event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd need a sleep afterwards or two.
For about
For
You
about
need to
3
take a
days.
week off
Yeah,
work
yeah.
after
You know,
to get
yeah.
over it.
In a hospital on a drip. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Oh.
Eating fish
Yeah. Yeah. Through a straw.
through a straw. Whatever doesn't require effort.
Yeah.
Would like potentially opening up to more like American style competitions as well. Like I know that they do like whole hog and stuff like that, and New Memphis and Maze. But something obviously, if we could do it in Australia, it'd be amazing. But open up instead of doing like a double ABA again, just expanding it to those more whole cuts, like doing like whole shoulders and that sort of thing would be interesting, and like whole birds. Just like adding different, as Linda said,
Yeah.
it's been the same like 4 to 5 base cuts for the past 5-6 years.
Yeah.
So I think instead of trying to drum up extra points or double events, opening the ball game, giving people something different to play with,
Yeah, that's a good
would be an interesting idea.
Yeah.
And the people have talked about doing game. I don't know how that would go, but something
I
different.
love that idea.
Yeah, like make it Australian.
Or, native proteins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would definitely, it would put our mark on it, make that Australiana sort of style. Because as like with the rosemary and the garlic, we've got those natural sort of flavors that our protein really does land its hand to. So I think borrowing a little bit more from the Americans with the way that they do their festivals, and the barbecue is the main part of their festivals, and lending it to the natural beauty of our country, I think would be fantastic. Like more like a shellfish or seafood opportunities, I think would be really cool as well. Instead of just being like, here, cook 2 briskets, because I don't want to cook one.
Yeah.
One's enough, yeah.
Yeah, nice. All right, well, that's probably a good point to sort of start wrapping it up. So I just want to say thanks for coming on board.
Thanks for having me.
I can see that we're all getting colder and colder and colder as this has been going on. I was feeling bad at the start because I'm from the Gold Coast. I'm like, oh, they're all going to laugh at me. I've got a hoodie and a beanie, but I've seen you
I'm from
put
the mountains,
no.
I'm freezing.
You've pulled yours up over the course.
I forgot mine, so I'm just sitting here, just basking in everyone else's warmth.
Yeah. Well, you're closest to the big ring light there off camera, so
Yeah.
you'd.
I'm just whatever that's giving off.
We got scotch to warm us up. It's fine.
Yeah. Happy days.
Yeah. Well, look, thanks very much, and best of luck with the competition to all
Thank
of you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And there you have it, family. That was our After Dark special from Meat in the Dilly. How interesting was that to hang out with Ben, Linda, and Ryan and just hear all their stories? It was so good to be back together again after all the madness of last year, all the competitions that were cancelled. It was so good to be able to get back into it. And all of those people, they're all great personal friends of mine. It was the first time I'd seen any of them in the longest amount of time. So it was really good for me to catch up with them, and I'm sure that you enjoyed all that as well. Now, before I let you go, just a quick reminder, do come join us in the Smoking Hot Confessions barbecue community over on Facebook. Do grab your free ebook off of our website, smokinghotconfessions.com. It's the beginner's guide to real barbecue. Barbicon is coming up in July. We'll have the exact dates and we'll start announcing presenters soon. So keep an eye on the socials for that. And If you are watching this on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, a subscribe, and hit that notification bell. If you're on Facebook, give us a like, a comment, and a share. IGTV, it's the cute little love hearts and a follow. And if you're on a podcasting app, do give us a 5-star rating and review. All those things would really help us out, and we really do appreciate all that sort of stuff. Now, that is about it for today. So until next time, take care of each other and keep on queuing.
Thanks for listening to the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. Head on over to smokinghotconfessions.com for recipes, tips, and Ben's own confessions.